This is Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. When I was a child, this was one of my favorite books, and since it's been almost 30 years since first reading it, it was about time that I reread it again for the first time. The story follows Max, a boy who has a wild imagination and an even wilder temper. After his mother catches him misbehaving in his wolf suit, she sends him to bed without dinner. Now, of course, this is not a problem for Max, because he doesn't want to eat food anyway. He just wants to have fun. So while everyone else in the house is eating their meal, he goes into his room, which is filled with toys, and begins to play. As he is playing, his stuffed animal kingdom comes alive. They are having a grand feast, and they are inviting Max to join them. But instead of joining them, Max grabs a stick and starts chasing them around the room like a savage beast. His stuffed animals run away from him in terror. When they escape out of his bedroom window, Max follows after them. He chases them through the woods until he comes upon a shore where the forest meets the sea. There, he discovers an island, and when he gets closer, he sees that his stuffed animals have sailed away and are now having a party on the beach. But they aren't alone. There are also wild things on the island. These creatures are furry and ape-like, and they are all staring at Max as he comes ashore. They invited Max to be their king, and so he accepts their invitation. The wild things are thrilled. They're dancing and singing. They're playing games. And for a moment, Max is happy to be their king. But then he feels a little homesick. He thinks about how his mother used to rock him in his boat and sing him songs, and he longs for those moments of comfort. So then Max tells the wild things that he wants to go home, but they don't want him to leave. They want him to stay and be their king forever. And so they try to trick him into staying by promising to do all of the things that he wants to do if he will only stay a little while longer. They promise to let him ride on the back of a giant boar, to play with them in the forest, and to help him build a sandcastle on the beach. But none of these things interest Max. All he wants is to go home. And so the wild things get angry. They become very scary. They start stomping their feet and shaking their fists. They let out terrible roars. But Max stands his ground. He is not going to be intimidated by them. And so the wild things decide to stop trying to convince him to stay. They simply let him go, and they watch as he sails away in his boat and eventually disappears from sight. Now, when Max reaches home, he finds that his family has left him a plate of cookies and milk. They've been waiting for him to come back, and Max is grateful to be home. He eats the cookies and drinks the milk. And as he does, he remembers all of the fun that he had with the wild things. And that's the story. If you were to ask me what I thought of this book, I would say that it was absolutely fantastic. It's a great book for both children and adults. As a child, I loved the illustrations. They were so detailed and so imaginative. It was easy to get lost in them and to imagine yourself on that island with the wild things. As an adult, I still love the illustrations, but I also appreciate the story more than I did as a child. It's a great story about growing up and about dealing with your emotions. You see, Max is a wild child. He's full of energy, and he doesn't know how to control it. He's impulsive, and he doesn't think about the consequences of his actions. But as the story goes on, we see him grow and change. He learns to control his temper, and he learns to think before he acts. This is something that all children must do as they grow up, and it's something that all parents hope their children will do. Another great thing about this book is that it deals with the topic of anger. Anger is an emotion that all of us feel from time to time, but it's an emotion that can be difficult to control. In the book, Max's anger is what leads him to the wild things, and it is something that he must learn to control if he is going to be a good king. In our own lives, anger can sometimes be helpful. It can motivate us to make changes, or it can give us the strength we need to stand up for ourselves. But anger can also be destructive. It can cause us to lash out at others, or it can lead us down a path of self-destruction. The key is to learn how to control our anger and to use it in a positive way. This is something that Max learns over the course of the story, and it is something that we can all strive to do in our own lives. But I think this book means something different for every person who reads it. For some, it may be a story about childhood and the joys of make-believe. For others, it may be a story about growing up and the challenges that come with it. Still, for others, it may be a story about anger and how to deal with it. Whatever it means to you is what makes this book so great. It's a book that can be enjoyed by people of all ages, and it's a book that has something to offer everyone. As for why this book was so popular when it first came out, I think it's because it was unlike anything else that had ever been published before. It was a book that dealt with difficult topics in an honest and open way. It was a book that showed children that it was okay to feel angry, or sad, or scared. And it was a book that showed them how to deal with those emotions in a healthy way. When I was a child, I remember feeling angry a lot. But I didn't know how to deal with that anger. I didn't know how to talk about it, or how to control it. This book helped me to understand my feelings, and it gave me the tools I needed to cope with them. I'm sure that there are many other children who feel the same way. Children who read this book and felt less alone in their struggles. Children who read this book and learned how to deal with their anger in a healthy way. Maurice Sendak was a genius for writing this book. He didn't shy away from difficult topics. He didn't try to sugarcoat anything. He simply told the story and let the reader come to their own conclusions. This is what made him such a great author. And it's one of the reasons why this book is still so popular today. But that's just my opinion. What do you think of this book? What do you think of the story? And what do you think of the illustrations? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and share it with a friend. I'll see you next time. Bye.